Hello creative friends, I'm Anastasia, and in this video I challenge myself to DIY pieces from the new Studio McGee fall collection for a fraction of the cost. Let's get into it. This collection is so warm and inviting, and it has that beautiful modern cottage style that Studio McGee does so well. So I couldn't resist the challenge to make these items for less. My inspiration for this first DIY is the set of 2 seaside etchings that retail for $65. When I look at these, they just look so peaceful. So today we're going to try to recreate them for less. DIYing art can be so much more cost effective than purchasing retail in stores. So I'm going to share my trick with you. You'll go to the National Gallery of Art's website, nga.gov, and scroll to the very bottom and click Open Access Images. Then click Browse the Collection. These are real works of art by real artists that are now in the public domain for you to use and enjoy. I'm going to look for 2 pieces that resemble the 2 from Studio McGee. There's literally thousands of art pieces in here, so I'm going to change the filters here and add some keywords until I get it filtered to the type of art I'm looking for. I used keywords like coastline, landscape, boat, and you can also filter by the time era and whether it's a painting or a drawing or sketch work, etc. So after some scrolling, I chose Lakeshore and House and Boat at the Shore. I put the link to the art gallery in the description below. They both have the public domain emblem, so we can download it, use it, change it, etc. So I click download, and then I open up a Canva document that's 8.5 by 11 regular paper size because I'll be printing this on my home computer. I uploaded my 2 art pieces onto the page, and since they have a heavy yellow tint, I'll use the filters in Canva to make it resemble the Studio McGee piece. I tried out several different filters until I landed on the ink filter. I used that one on full intensity, and I'm happy with how that looks. So I exported it back to my computer, and I played around with the printer settings until it fit the page with a faux thick matted border around it. I did do a few practice prints on a regular piece of paper before I printed it out on the cardstock. I got these 2 frames from Facebook Marketplace in a box of frames for $5. I'm giving them a good clean to remove the dirt and the dust. I used the cardboard backing of the frame to mark the page to size and then cut the excess. I chose to hang these in my little powder bath. One of these frames wanted to stick out from the wall, so I cut a command strip I had and used it to adhere the frame to the wall. And now it's time for the final reveal. This ceramic wave bowl is very pretty and unique, especially with the wavy grooves on the outside. It retails for $20 and looks beautiful when styled on a shelf. I'll be making this one using Crayola air dry clay, which I got off of Amazon for less than $11. I grab a large chunk of clay and roll it out flat with a rolling pin. I used this cake pan to help me trim it to a perfect circle and then use some water to smooth out the new edges. I am using a small comb to create the grooved effect all the way around the circle. You can get creative with this part. And this was the moment I realized I made a big mistake. I didn't put any parchment paper under the clay and it was stuck to my counter. Luckily, I was able to get it up and I just had to smooth out the edges again. So don't make my mistake. Please put something under your clay so it doesn't stick to your counter. I used a large jar to drape the clay over as I shaped the waves of the bowl. I had a lot of issues with cracking with this piece. At this point, I thought this DIY was a fail, but I decided to just give it one last shot and used water to smooth out the cracks the best I could. I let it dry for about 2 days, and turns out it was fine other than some surface cracking. This would still work as a really pretty piece to put on a shelf as decor. To paint it, I started with a darker grayish color, but I didn't like how it was looking. So then I tried a white craft paint, but it was just too stark white. So I ultimately went with Popular Gray by Sherwin-Williams that I had left over, which is a nice neutral grayish color. It was perfect. When that dried, I gave it a coat of clear matte protective spray, and this is the finished reveal. This next DIY doesn't require any crafting or much time at all. I'll be creating my own version of this arrangement that sells for $25. I lucked out and found these eucalyptus stems at Goodwill for just a couple of dollars. They resemble all the beautiful warm colors of fall, but they are crusty and dusty, and this is why it's so important to thoroughly clean items you get from the thrift store. To clean these, I soaked them in hot water and dish soap for 15 to 20 minutes. Then I rinsed them and hung them to dry, and now they're good as new. I already have a white vase similar to the one from Studio McGee that I found in an old collection of my great-grandmother's pottery. You can look for vases like this at thrift stores and paint them to get the off-white color. I removed my summer eucalyptus and styled the new stems in the vase to get this final look. For this DIY, I'll be making this decorative knot which retails for $15. It's a pretty small piece, but it's great as an accent on a shelf or a table. And the great thing about making this on our own is we can make it larger or smaller depending on how big of a statement we want to make with it. I'll be making this out of Crayola air-dry clay. I like to start with a smooth ball of clay without any creases or cracks because it helps your finished piece look a lot more neat and clean. So I rolled this out until it was about 34.5 inches long and about 3/4 of an inch wide. I then connected the two ends together and used water to smooth out the seam. Now you should have a full circle. Now you'll pick up your two ends and tie them in a knot. Just cross one over the other and loop the top one through. Because it's clay and it's going to want to stick to itself, you'll need to keep adjusting it probably several times until you can get the shape just right. And you can use water to smooth out any cracks that may form. If you'd like to see my video where I make more high-end decor using air-dry clay, just check out the link in the description below. On Studio McGee's knot, the loops on the sides curve upwards, so I'm using some cups to hold my loops in that shape while it dries. I let it dry for about 3 days, and then gave it 2 coats of flat black spray paint. Once that dried, I sprayed it with clear matte protective spray, and this is how it turned out. Thank you so much for DIYing with me today. If you enjoy these videos, please subscribe so you don't miss out on all the fun projects that are coming up. I can't wait to share them with you. See you in the next one.